Hi guys, I'm Aaron Rabinowitz, and this week's Parsha is Parshat Korach. Korach was a rebel from the tribe of Levi. The stories about Korach in this week's Parsha would seem, at first glance, to bear this out. Korach and his followers are portrayed by the very male rabbis of the Talmud as the quintessential paradigm of illegitimate descent. His evil subversion is contrasted in the Mishnah of Avot with the admirable, worthy disagreements between Hillel and Shammai, and a clear distinction is drawn between machloket l'shem shemaim, a disagreement for the sake of heaven, and malicious divisiveness. A more nuanced portrayal of Korach's reality is embodied, on the other hand, in the story of the nameless wife of On ben Pelet. It takes it a woman, it would seem, to offer a more complex understanding. Ben Pelet is listed among Korach's supporters in the first verse of this week's Parsha, together with Dotan, Aviram, and 250 unnamed dignitaries. The Parsha later describes how Dotan and Aviram were swallowed up by earth, and how the 250 dignitaries died either by fire or plague, but Ben Pelet isn't mentioned again. Here is how Rav solved the mystery of his disappearance. On Ben Pelet said his wife saved him. She said to him, "What are you going to get out of all this? If Moshe ends up being the master, you will be a student. If Korach ends up being the master, you will still be a student." He said to her, "What can I do? I was at council with the congregation of Korach, and I took the oath of allegiance with them." She answered, "I know they are all a holy congregation, as it is written, for the entire congregation they are all holy." She said, "Return, and I will save you." She whined him till his thirst was quenched and put him to bed inside, while she went and sat at the entrance of the tent with her hair undone. All that came to call for him and saw her thus went away. Meanwhile, they were swallowed up by earth. This isn't a story about ideal values, right and wrong, or black and white. It's about navigating the gray, murky waters of daily political life. Ben Pelet's wife doesn't try to convince him that Korach was wrong and Moshe was right. It's not even clear she thought Moshe was any better than Korach. All she says is that Ben Pelet stands to gain absolutely nothing from taking sides. No matter who wins, he will remain a lowly pupil. As a woman in a patriarchal world, Ben Pelet's wife is an expert at short-circuiting hierarchy. She knows how the system works, and as soon as her husband tells her he's become entangled in a web of political intrigue, the tables are turned, and she takes the lead. "I'll save you," she exclaims. She then, very symbolically, gets him drunk and puts him to bed. Ben Pelet's wife knows what stands behind Korach's claim that Moshe has no right to elevate himself above the people, that the entire congregation is holy. She understands that this beautiful proclamation is really nothing more than a thin cover for a political game. Korach pretends to demand democracy for all, but what he really wants is, after all, is a high priesthood for himself. Ben Pelet's wife, used to holiness being used as a pretense to keep women out of the public sphere, is then able to use the very same pretense to her advantage. Sitting at the entrance to her tent, on the very brink of immodesty, she uses the community's own rules of holiness in order to keep her husband safe. But wait a minute. This story may have been about a woman, but it certainly wasn't told by her. It was brought by Rav, painted in the realistic grays of the Beit Midrash of his day, with Korach and Moshe as quarreling masters, and Ben Pelet as the poor pupil caught in the middle. Rav, the patriarchal founder of the famous Talmudic yeshiva, was able to appreciate the grays from his place at the top of the rabbinic hierarchy. So is it really an inherently male or female thing? Maybe, but there's at least one other possibility, that individuals who have to navigate hierarchy on a regular basis learn to handle complexity in a way that other people don't. Rav may have been a top rabbi, but as leader of an ethnic minority in the Babylonian Empire, he probably had to navigate some political hierarchies of his own. So men may be from Mars and women from Venus, but in the end, it's probably a little bit more complex than that. Thanks, guys. Shabbat shalom. Have a good one.